The spreadsheet was an accident. I wasn't snooping, or I tell myself that anyway. I was using Marcus' laptop because mine had crashed, searching for a document I'd sent him about our vacation rental in Outer Banks. I opened his downloads folder, and there it was, a file labeled Recurring Payments Confidential with today's date. My fingers moved before my brain caught up. Triple click. Open. 8 years of monthly transfers. Exactly $2,000 every first Tuesday. To an account registered to someone named Rebecca Hayes. 8 years. Marcus and I have been married for 8 years. I sat there in our kitchen. The kitchen we'd renovated together, with the marble countertop he'd insisted on despite the cost, and my lungs forgot how to work. The morning light through the bay window suddenly looked cheap, artificial, like a set in a play I'd been watching without knowing I was watching. $2,000 a month. Enough for a small apartment, utilities, groceries. Enough to keep someone comfortable. Enough to keep someone. I printed the document. My hands shook as I fed the papers into the printer, and I am not sure why I did that. What was I going to do? Present evidence like we were in court. But something in me needed to hold the lie in my hands, needed it to be real in a way that pixels on a screen couldn't convince me of. 24 sheets. 8 years of deception. Marcus wouldn't be home until 7. He had a late client meeting at the office, which meant what exactly? I turned the phrase over in my mind like it was a stone I'd never seen before. How many times had he said that? How many Tuesday nights? I did something I'd never done before. I looked up Rebecca Hayes. There were 47 Rebecca Hayeses in the metropolitan area. No helpful photos. No convenient Facebook profiles. Nothing that would tell me if she was young or old, beautiful or plain, the kind of woman who'd make sense as a rival or the kind who wouldn't. But I did find an address. 1847 Cordwell Street, apartment 3C. Only 3 miles from our house. I sat in my car outside the building for 45 minutes before I went in. It was a pre-war building, the kind that was gentrifying slowly, paint peeling from the sills, a single ornate planter by the entrance with dead geraniums. The kind of building I'd never noticed before, though I'd probably driven past it 100 times. I climbed the stairs. The elevator was broken, and my heart was so loud I was sure someone would hear it through the walls. 3rd floor. Apartment 3C was at the end of a corridor that smelled like curry and someone's heavy perfume. I knocked before I could think. A woman answered. She was in her mid-30s, I'd guess, with dark hair pulled back in a messy bun and wearing yoga pants with a coffee stain on the front. Behind her, I could hear cartoon dialogue. SpongeBob SquarePants. Someone was laughing, a child's laugh, bright and uncomplicated. "Can I help you?" the woman said. Her hand was still on the doorknob, her body angled like she might close it at any moment. "I am looking for someone," I heard myself say. "I'm not sure this is the right address, but are you Rebecca Hayes?" Her expression shifted. Wariness crept in. "Who's asking?" "My name is Sarah. Sarah Mercier. I think my husband has been sending you money." I watched the color drain from her face. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was that she didn't look guilty. She looked terrified. "What? No, I don't." She glanced behind her. "Hold on." She left me in the hallway. I could hear her voice, lower now, saying something to someone inside. And then footsteps. And then a child emerged, a boy with tousled brown hair and Marcus' exact chin, his exact nose, his exact green eyes. The boy looked at me curiously. "Mommy, who's that?" "Mom, Mommy." "Go back to the TV, buddy," Rebecca said, reappearing. She was crying. Her hands were shaking. "Please come in. Just come in." The apartment was small and impossibly full. Toys covered every surface. There were hand-drawn pictures taped to the walls, crayon suns and stick families, and a dinosaur wearing glasses. Books stacked on the floor. A child's car seat still in the corner. The life of a single mother, rendered in primary colors and chaos. "I don't know what your husband told you," Rebecca said, and her voice was so raw I almost believed her before Shed even started. "But he never told me he was married. He said his last relationship ended badly, that he wanted to be careful. I asked him 100 times to come meet Marcus Jr. He always said he would, but then he needed to take things slow, and he had a big project at work," and she pressed her palms to her eyes. "I am going to sound crazy. I already know how this sounds. How long?" I asked. 7 years. Marcus came to my yoga class. He was cute, funny. We dated for 3 months before I got pregnant. She laughed, a brittle sound. I told him I'd understand if he wanted to leave. I gave him an out. And he didn't take it. He said he wanted to be a father. He said he loved me. 7 years. The boy was 7 years old. I did the math. I'd been married to Marcus for 8 years. I sat down. There was a chair by the window, and I sat in it without asking permission. Below us, the street was normal. Cars drove past. People walked by without knowing that the world had just fundamentally shifted its axis. "My name is Sarah," I said again, as if this might help. As if names meant anything. "Rebecca." We stared at each other like we were trying to see something written on the other's face. What I saw was a woman with dark circles under her eyes and a child's purple crayon mark on her wrist. What I saw was someone who'd loved the same man I loved and been lied to in a different way, or maybe the same way. Same lie, different delivery. "He didn't mention me at all?" I asked. "No, and I should have known something was wrong. The way he was with Marcus Jr. He was wonderful with him is wonderful, but also distant sometimes, like he was remembering a script. And he was never here overnight. He was always gone by morning." She sat down across from me, and her hands went to her lap, and she twisted them together. "I used to wonder if he was seeing someone else. And then I'd think, he pays for the apartment, he pays for everything. He shows up every week like clockwork, so maybe this is just how he is. He comes every week, every Tuesday evening and Thursday afternoon. He's supposed to come tomorrow evening, actually." She checked her phone. "Marcus might not even. Do you think he'll still come, now that you know?" I thought about Marcus, who I'd married in a garden ceremony in June, who I'd spent 8 years building a life with, who I'd planned to build the rest of my life with, who was, apparently, someone else entirely during his Tuesdays and Thursdays. "I don't know," I said. The boy, Marcus Jr., appeared in the doorway again, holding a comic book. He was small for 7, with a soft roundness that suggested Rebecca protected him fiercely. "Mommy, can we get pizza for dinner?" "Maybe, babe. Mommy's talking to someone right now." He looked at me. "Are you one of Daddy's friends from work?" I am still not sure why I lied. "Yes," I said. "I'm a friend from work." He considered this seriously. "Daddy says work is boring but people are interesting." "He does?" "Yeah. He says people are the only thing worth paying attention to." The boy grinned. "Especially when they're being weird." I almost laughed. I almost cried. I almost did both at the same time. Rebecca sent him back to SpongeBob, and we sat in the wreckage of someone else's secret for another hour. She told me about Marcus' promotions. There had been none. His business travel, there had been many. His growing distance, she blamed herself, wondered if she was failing him. I told her about our marriage, the vacations, the dinner parties, the ordinary intimacy of someone you wake up beside every morning and don't really see. "Do you love him?" she asked at one point. "I thought I did," I said. "What's that mean?" "It means I loved the person I thought he was. I am not sure that person exists." She nodded like she understood, though she was still in the phase of still being in love with the man Shed thought he was. I could see it in the way her hands would soften when she said his name, even as her face hardened with the knowledge of what he'd done. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "I don't know." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know either." We exchanged phone numbers. I am not sure why. Guilt, maybe. the strange kinship of being betrayed by the same person. I left before Marcus Jr. could ask me more questions about his father. I didn't go home. I got a hotel room instead, the Marriott on 5th, the kind of generic luxury place where no one knows you. I sat on the bed and waited for Marcus to text me, to ask where I was, to wonder. He didn't. I wondered if he was at Rebecca's apartment, if he was sitting with her in her living room with its hand-drawn pictures and its toys, if he was practicing his devoted father routine, if he was good at it. Better than he was at being my husband, apparently. The next morning, I went back to work. I am a corporate lawyer, and our office is all glass and chrome and the kind of deliberate busyness that makes you feel like you're accomplishing something even when you're not. My colleagues asked if I was okay. "You look stressed," Margaret from the office next to mine said. "Just a headache," I said. At lunch, Rebecca texted me, "Can we talk?" I met her at a coffee shop near her apartment, neutral territory. She looked like she hadn't slept, which made two of us. We ordered coffee and then just held the cups, letting the steam rise between us. "He's going to be home soon," she said. I don't know what I thought. That we should figure out what to say? Together? "What do you want to happen?" I asked. "I want him to disappear and also never leave. I want to take back 3 months of falling in love with someone who didn't exist. I want my son to have a father, not a performance of one." She looked at me. "And I am angry at you, too, for not knowing. For I don't know, for being his wife and not catching this sooner." "I know," I said. I wasn't going to defend myself. Id failed too, apparently. He should have been a better man to both of us. He should have been a better man to himself, Rebecca said. That's the weird part. Like he was choosing this. Every day he was choosing this. We were still sitting there when my phone rang. It was Marcus. "Sarah, where are you? I came home and you weren't there. Did something happen?" I watched Rebecca's face as she heard his voice coming through the phone speaker. "We need to talk," I said. He was silent for a moment. "Where are you?" "Come to the Riverside Coffee on 5th. Come alone." "Sarah, come alone." I hung up. Rebecca reached across the table and gripped my hand. Her palm was cold and sweating slightly. "I can't do this," she whispered. "I can't watch him lie to you about lying to me." "I can't, don't," I said. "Stay, please." She stayed. Marcus arrived in 15 minutes, his expensive shoes clicking on the tile floor, his work shirt already unbuttoned at the collar the way it got when he was stressed. He saw me and his face did something complicated. And then he saw Rebecca. The color drained out of him. He literally swayed for a second. "Sit down," I said. He sat. "Your wife," Rebecca said, her voice shaking, "didn't know about me. I didn't know about her. Your son doesn't know you're not the person you've been pretending to be." Marcus looked at me. "How did you?" "The spreadsheet," I said. "The one you were too careful to hide on your own laptop." For a man who'd been lying successfully for 7 years, he was very bad at lying now. His mouth opened and closed. His hands gripped the edge of the table. "I can explain," he started. "No, you can't," Rebecca said. "There's no explanation. There's only a choice. And that choice is whether you're going to be a father to Marcus Jr., or whether you're going to keep being whatever this is." She gestured at him, at us, at the space between us that had become so large it felt like a chasm. "Because I am done with the performance. I am done pretending I don't notice that you always leave by morning. I am done making excuses for you. And Sarah deserves better than to be someone you come home to while you're building a whole other life. Rebecca, my son asks about you constantly. He asks when you're coming next. He asks if you love him. And I keep telling him yes because I thought that was true. So before you say anything else, before you try to fix this with words, I need you to understand that you've been lying to a child. Not just to us. To a 7-year-old boy who trusted you." I watched Marcus' face as the weight of this landed on him. Whether it was real realization or just the realization that he'd been caught, I couldn't tell. Maybe they were the same thing. "What do you want me to do?" he asked. It was such a question, like he was asking us to solve the problem he decreated. I want you to go home and think about whether you want to be Marcus' father or my husband, I said, because I don't think you can be both the way things are now. Sarah, I love you, I know, I said, and I think on some level you love Rebecca too, and Marcus Jr. loves you, and that's the thing that makes this impossible. Because love isn't what's broken here, trust is, and I don't know if that's fixable. Marcus left the coffee shop without drinking his coffee. We watched him go. Thank you, Rebecca said after a while. For what? For not hating me. For sitting with me through this. For she stopped. I keep waiting for you to ask me to make him choose you. Would you want him to? No, she said. Not like that. Not as a punishment. Then I am not going to ask. We sat in the coffee shop as it filled with the lunch crowd. Two women who'd been married to the same lie in different directions. And something strange happened. Somewhere between the shock and the anger and the profound disappointment of discovering that someone you trusted had made you a prop in a secret, we found something else. Not friendship exactly, not yet, but the beginning of understanding. Marcus Jr. asked me if you were his friend from work, Rebecca said, and I heard a smile in her voice. I didn't correct him. I figured he might need a friend. He might, I said. And so might I. We exchanged numbers again, real numbers this time, not just in the panic of crisis. We made plans to talk the next day, and the day after that. I don't know where this leads. I don't know if Marcus will choose his son, or if he'll run from all of us. I don't know if Rebecca and I will build something real from this, or if we'll just be people who remind each other of the worst things. But I know this. I went looking for a mistress and found a sister instead. And the man we both loved, or thought we loved, became the least important person in our story. Which is funny, considering that's what he was counting on all along. He taught me something valuable without meaning to. That the life you think you're living and the life you're actually living are often completely different things. And sometimes, when they collide, you discover that the person standing on the other side of the wreckage understands you better than the man who built it. I moved into the hotel for 3 weeks. Marcus called every day. Rebecca and I had coffee 3 times a week. By the 4th week, we went to a lawyer together, separate consultations, but we shared the waiting room, which felt significant somehow. By the 8th week, Marcus had rented an apartment near Rebecca so he could see Marcus Jr. regularly. He also filed for divorce. I signed the papers without argument. A year later, Rebecca and I are not friends exactly, but we're something. We meet for lunch. We text about things that have nothing to do with Marcus. Her son asked me to come to his 8th birthday party, and I brought him a gift and a card and sat with a bunch of 7- and 8-year-olds while they ate cake. Marcus didn't come. He came the next day with a makeup party instead. Rebecca and I exchanged a look. He's trying, she said. He is, I agreed. It's not enough, but it's something. Sometimes I think about the woman I was before I opened that spreadsheet. She felt so far away now, so naive. She believed in things like permanence and truth, and the idea that you really knew the people you slept beside. I am grateful that woman is gone. The person I am now is someone who understands that sometimes the story isn't about the man at all. It's about the 2 women who discovered that their real connection, however unlikely, however born from pain, was something he could never touch because it existed in a place beyond his lies. That's the real secret, and unlike his, I am keeping it.